helping us sensitize our electorate, particularly the illiterates, are going around all corners saying the Public Accounts Committee and the Public Enterprises Committee of the National Assembly are always ended on witch hunt. They treat institutions differently. Some are being treated unfairly.
What role the GCC can play on the issue of pricing and costing policy? Because one that is not addressed, the issue of commodities will keep on in the increase.
Kwame Nkrumah, Nyerere, Sekou Touré, and NASA, these guys were determined that there must be a continental organization.
This is how the African people can participate in the affairs of the continent.
As the 2012 legislative year ends, lawmakers are concerned with grassroots advocacy for engagement of the informal sector to the Gambian economy, with priority on agriculture, health and education. Babukar Kamara, GRTS.
Phase 2 of the 2012 joint session of Public Accounts and Public Enterprises of the National Assembly shall commence on Monday 7th to Tuesday 29th of January 2013 at 11 a.m. daily for the consideration of the annual activity reports and audited financial statements of all outstanding public enterprises and agencies of the Government of the Republic for the year ending 31st December 2011. A media release issued by the Office of the National Assembly Clerk requires Chief Executive Officers and board members of all public enterprises and agencies to attend and strictly adhere to the schedule published as of Wednesday, 28 November 2012. Members of the press and civil society organizations are invited as well. The Islamic Scientific Educational and Cultural Organization recently held a 3-day regional training program for Islamic scholars in the media business. The conclave that drew participants from 5 West African countries had the objective of educating 12 participants on the effective use of the media in disseminating Islamic information. Alhaji Abubakar Daba has more.
Radio is undoubtedly the most easily accessible medium of communication for the overwhelming majority of people in the sub-region. As a force for both good and evil, the radio in recent times served a great purpose in shaping the worldview of individuals on the wide spectrum of social and cultural issues, including religion.
This is a Gambia that West Ham scored 100 days knowledge week before last. And you see that the Gambia pushes, I think it's over maybe.
At a ceremony held to kickstart a 3-day sub-regional training workshop on the positive use of radio in Islamic propagation, the Acting Secretary General of the Gambia National Commission for UNESCO, Yahya Matar Job, spoke on the role of positive preaching in the development of a true perspective of Islam and handling the threats posed to its culture by Islamophobia.
Such widespread participation reflects both the prominence of the role of preaching in the development of the true perspective of Islam and its civilization against Islamophobia, as well as to strengthen the training of these 12 Islamic preachers for the development of a culture of peace and the promotion of dialogue among cultures, civilization, and religions in the context of the Islamic culture.
The hope of the training, he continued, is to offer innovative ideas about using the mass media creatively to effectively educate the masses about Islamic doctrines. Addressing the negative image attached to Islam is perhaps the most challenging task these 12 participants are tasked with. But a critical analysis of approaches in Islamic propagation, according to Papa Tumanin Jai, the representative of the Director General of the Islamic Educational Scientific Cultural Organization, should be developed in line with the present social needs of the people.
To the promotion of Islamic culture and communication. However, this meeting should analyze the relationship between radio and preaching seen from the perspective of Islamic culture and enlightenment. In this regard, it is worth noting that the radio, be it public or private, has for several decades shown increasing interest in preaching in light with the revival of the Islamic faith in West African countries.
Njai thanked the cooperation between Munazzamatul Da'watul Islamiyya and ISESCO in not only facilitating such forums for member countries, but ensuring that recommendations supporting positive Islamic propagations are pursued to implementation. The representative of Munazzamat's regional director, Abdul Ahmed Drame, detailed the numerous humanitarian interventions undertaken by the body, all in the service of mankind and Islam. Drame urged the participants to make judicious use of the knowledge learned, but also use wisdom in the course of their preaching.
Well-designed and presented Islamic radio programs touching on the current affairs of the people will go a long way to help in the spread of Islam and the shaping of the community to the best as required by Islam.
The Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure, Nancy Nyang, stressed on the role the media should play if used as a tool to build a positive Islamic society.
I am sure the aim of this workshop is not to present media as a threat to our religious and cultural identity, but to explore and discuss the potential that mass media have if used. Again, we have to stress on the word if used as a tool to build an Islamic society.
PS Nyang linked the ACE project to this training program, saying now that a submarine cable for quick and effective data accessing is available, scholars and Islamic teachers have all chances to utilize relevant and orthodox Islamic literatures on the internet for public preaching. The interface that wraps up Saturday is expected to have the desired impact needed to better package Islamic programs and talk shows for the consuming audience. Abu Bakr Dabo, Grts.
The next Operation Clean the Nation is slated for tomorrow, Saturday, 5th of January 2013, throughout the country. A news release from the National Environment Agency reminds all governors, Seifolu, Al-Kalolu, and councillors of the presidential directive, urging them to organize and coordinate the national cleanup exercise in their localities. The agency, through the dispatch, solicits the support, cooperation, and active participation of the general public, all government and private institutions, CI companies, youth organizations, members of the Gambia Transport Control Association, and Tipo Garage at Bakote in the national exercise. Well, the Central African Multinational Force has deployed heavily armed soldiers near the city of Damara, 75 kilometers north of the capital Bangui, to ward off the advancing rebels threatening to oust President Francois Bozize. And Zimbabweans will go to the polls in March to elect a new president. But the Electoral Commission says the lack of a staggering $200 million could serve as stumbling block to the conduct of the votes. We're going to bring you details of these and other stories right after this break. Welcome back to the news. The Central African Multinational Force has deployed heavily armed soldiers near the city of Damara. The objective is to warn advancing rebels against taking the city, which lies 75 kilometers north of the capital Bangui. The move, as we hear in the CFI report, seems to be working well for the government, as the Seleka rebel coalition now opted for negotiations with the Bozize government.
Armored cars of the Central African Multinational Force have deployed heavily near the city of Damara. This is a strong show of men and weapons, like a warning to the rebels in case they might be thinking of taking the city, located only 75 kilometers north of the capital, Bangui. And the tactic has paid off. The Seleka rebel coalition has decided to stop advancing and now wants to negotiate.
If the rebels decide to approach Damara, they know they will encounter a force that will react. Where we are now, we are no longer uniquely a dissuasive force. We're prepared to intervene if the need for an intervention arises.
The city of Damara has been deserted. When the announcement came 6 days ago that the rebels were arriving, local inhabitants fled their homes to go hide in the bush.